The massive crystal halls of the Galactic Council stretched out like a frozen ocean. Admiral Han De-ho stood at the viewing platform, watching the alien delegates move through the corridors below. Their strange forms reminded him of creatures from old Earth nightmares. Some walked on 6 legs, others floated in bubbles of gas. A few looked almost human, but their eyes were too large and their skin had a blue shine. Han De-ho had been preparing for this day for 3 years. The Council had finally decided that humanity was getting too comfortable in space. They wanted the Kepler sector back, and they wanted humans to know their place in the galaxy. Dr. Park So-young walked up beside him. She carried a small device in her hands that would translate the alien languages. Her face looked calm, but Han De-ho knew she was nervous. They both were. "The meeting starts in 10 minutes, she said quietly. "Are you ready for this?" Han De-ho nodded. He had studied every member of the Council for months. The Vorthak Empire controlled the eastern arm of the galaxy. They had been in space for over 3,000 years. The Zelkari Federation owned most of the trade routes. The Korthex Collective had the biggest military fleet anyone had ever seen. All of them looked at humans like bugs that had learned to fly. "Remember the plan," Han De-ho whispered back. "No matter what they say, no matter how they threaten us, we stick to the script." Captain Kim Jae-wook joined them near the entrance to the council chamber. His uniform was clean and pressed, but Han De-ho could see the worry in his eyes. Kim commanded Earth's first deep spaceship, and he had seen what the alien fleets could do. "Sir, our escort ships are reporting strange readings," Kim said. "The Council has at least 50 warships in this system. They're not even trying to hide them." "Good," Han De-ho replied. "Let them show off. It will make what happens next even better." The 3 humans walked into the council chamber together. The room was huge, with seats arranged in circles that went up toward the ceiling. Hundreds of alien beings sat in those seats, all of them looking down at the small human delegation. At the center of the room stood a tall crystal creature. This was Council Prime Vextar, leader of the Vorthak Empire. His body was made of what looked like living glass, and light moved through him in strange patterns. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "Humans of Earth," Vextar began, his words echoing through the chamber. "You have been called here to answer for your crimes against galactic law." Dr. Park So-young stepped forward. This was her job. As Earth's main diplomat, she had to speak for all of humanity. "Council Prime, we are here to listen to your concerns," she said. Her voice was steady and professional. "Humanity has always tried to follow galactic law." A sound like laughter filled the chamber. It came from dozens of different alien throats, creating a noise that made Han De-ho's skin crawl. The aliens thought this was funny. "Your species has been expanding too quickly," said another council member. This one looked like a giant insect with silver wings. "You have claimed 12 systems in the Kepler sector without permission." "Those systems were empty," Park So-young replied. "We found no signs of life or previous claims." "Empty or not, they belong to the Council," Vextar said. The light inside his crystal body turned red with anger. "We have maintained peace in this galaxy for 3,000 years. We decide who goes where and when." Han De-ho watched the alien faces around him. Some looked bored, as if this meeting was just a waste of time. Others seemed excited, like they were watching a show. None of them looked worried about what humanity might do. That was their first mistake. "What exactly are you asking us to do?" Park So-young asked. "Leave," said a creature that looked like a walking tree. "Take your people and go back to your home system. Stay there until we decide you are ready to be part of galactic society. And if we refuse?" The chamber fell quiet. Vexitar's crystal body pulsed with bright light. "Then we will teach you the same lesson we have taught others who forgot their place," he said. "The Korthex fleet alone has more ships than your entire species has ever built. We could turn your colonies into dust in a matter of days." Han De-ho felt his heart beating faster, but he kept his face calm. This was exactly what they had expected. The Council always used fear first. Park So-young looked back at Han De-ho and Kim Jae-wook. They both gave her small nods. It was time. "Council, Prime, she said, turning back to face the alien leader. Humanity appreciates your offer, but we must respectfully decline. The laughter started again, but this time it was louder and crueler. Some of the aliens made sounds that Handeho's translator couldn't even process. You think your small fleet of mining ships can stand against us? Vextar asked. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your weapons are toys. Your people are children playing with fire. Perhaps, Park So-young said calmly. But they are our colonies and we will not abandon them. Vextar's crystal form darkened until it was almost black. When he spoke again, his voice was cold and sharp. Then you have chosen war, he said. We will give you 7 days to reconsider. After that, the Council will take action to restore peace to the galaxy. Your refusal has been noted and recorded. The 3 humans bowed slightly, as Earth protocol required. Then they turned and walked out of the chamber. Behind them, the aliens continued to make their laughing sounds. Once they were back on their shuttle, Kim Jae-wook finally spoke. Admiral, they have thousands of ships. Our entire fleet is maybe 200 vessels, and half of those are transport ships. Handeho smiled for the first time that day. Captain, what did I teach you about playing Jangi? Kim thought for a moment. Sometimes you have to sacrifice pieces to win the game. Exactly. And sometimes you have to let your opponent think they've already won. Park So-young was checking the communication device they had left in the council chamber. It was designed to look like a simple translator, but it was actually recording everything the aliens said. It's working perfectly, she reported. We'll know their plans before they make them. The shuttle began its journey back to human space. Behind them, the council was already planning their attack. They had decided that humanity was just another young species that needed to learn respect for their betters. They had no idea that Admiral Handeho had been planning for this war since the day humans first met the aliens. They didn't know about the secret shipyards, the hidden weapons, or the trap that was already closing around them. Most importantly, they didn't understand that humans had learned something important from their history. When someone threatens your family, you don't just fight back. You make sure they never threaten anyone again. The council believed humans were bluffing because they couldn't imagine that such a young species would dare to challenge the established order of the galaxy. That was their second mistake, and it would be their last. Engineer Lee Taemin wiped the sweat from his forehead as he watched the final ghost ship roll out of the hidden construction bay. The massive asteroid had been hollowed out 3 years ago, and now it served as humanity's most secret weapon. Factory. How many does that make? Asked his assistant, a young woman named Kim Soo-bin. 43, Lee Taemin replied. Each one invisible to every scanning system the aliens have. The ghost ships looked nothing like the mining vessels and transport ships that the Council had catalogued in their intelligence reports. These were sleek predators, built with technology that humanity had been developing in secret for decades. Their hulls were covered in a special coating that absorbed radar and sensor beams. Their engines ran so quietly that they could drift right next to an alien ship without being detected. Across the solar system, Commander Cho Hye-jin was leading her team through another training exercise. They had been practicing the same mission, over and over for 6 months. Now they could do it with their eyes closed. Remember, she told her soldiers as they suited up, we go in quiet, we place the devices, and we get out. No heroics, no showing off. The mission only works if nobody knows we were there. The devices were small metal boxes, each one no bigger than a book. When activated, they would send out a signal that could disable entire fleets of alien ships. Dr. Yoon Min-ho had spent 2 years perfecting the quantum disruption technology, and now it was ready to use. Cho Hye-jin's teams had already placed over 100 of these devices throughout Council space. They were hidden in asteroid fields, attached to space stations, and buried on moons near major alien military bases. The aliens had no idea that their own territory was filled with human weapons. Meanwhile, Captain Kim Jae-wook was overseeing the retreat of human colonies from the Kepler sector. To any observer, it looked like humanity was giving up without a fight. Families packed their belongings onto transport ships and headed back toward Earth. Mining operations shut down and abandoned their equipment. But the retreat was just another part of Admiral Handeho's plan. Sir, The Vorthak scouts are watching us leave, reported Lieutenant Park Min-jung from the sensor station. Good, Kim Jae-wook said. Make sure they get good pictures. I want them to see families crying and workers looking defeated. What the aliens couldn't see was that each civilian transport ship was carrying much more than frightened colonists. Hidden in their cargo holds were advanced weapons, combat drones, and elite soldiers. The mining equipment that was supposedly abandoned was actually sophisticated sensor arrays and communication networks. When the aliens came to claim the empty human colonies, they would find much more than they expected. Dr. Yoon Min-ho stood in his laboratory deep beneath the surface of Mars, watching the final tests of his quantum disruption system. The device looked simple enough, just a metal cylinder about the size of a water bottle. But when activated, it could create a field that would shut down every electronic system within 100 kilometers. The test results are perfect, he told his research team. The field will disable their ships completely. Engines, weapons, life support, communications, everything will stop working. What about our own ships? Asked Dr. Han Mi-young, his second in command. Our ships have special shielding, Yoon Min-ho explained. The disruption field will pass right through us. We'll be the only ones left flying when the battle starts. Back on Earth, Admiral Han Dae-ho was meeting with the other military leaders. The room was deep underground, protected from any alien surveillance. On the walls hung screens showing the positions of Council fleets throughout the galaxy. They're moving exactly as we predicted, said General Park Dong-hyun, pointing to the screen. 3 main battle groups coming from different directions. They want to surround our colonies and force a quick surrender. Perfect, Han Dae-ho replied. The more confident they are, the harder they'll fall. The alien fleets were massive. Each battle group had over 300 ships, including dreadnoughts the size of small cities. Their crews numbered in the millions, and their weapons could destroy planets. By any reasonable measure, humanity didn't stand a chance. But Admiral Han Dae-ho had never been interested in reasonable measures. Status report on Project Phoenix, he asked. Captain Song Yoon-ji stood up from her chair. She was the best pilot in the human fleet, and she had been training a new generation of fighter pilots for this moment. All pilots are ready, sir, she reported. We have 2,000 fighters hidden throughout the outer systems. Each one is equipped with the new stealth technology and quantum torpedoes. The quantum torpedoes were another secret weapon. Unlike regular missiles, they could phase through enemy shields and explode inside the target ship. The aliens had never seen anything like them. And our ground forces? Han Dae-ho asked. Ready and waiting, said Colonel Bae Jun-seo. We have teams positioned on every world the aliens plan to attack. When they land, they'll find that our abandoned colonies are actually fortresses. In the weeks following the Council ultimatum, human space appeared to be in chaos. Ships fled in all directions, colonies sent desperate messages begging for help, and military vessels retreated toward Earth. Council intelligence reported that human morale was collapsing and that complete surrender was only days away. The aliens had no way of knowing that every retreat was carefully planned, every desperate message was fake, and every sign of weakness was actually preparation for the counterattack. Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin commanded the Ghost Fleet from her flagship, hidden in the shadow of Jupiter. Her ships were spread throughout the solar system, invisible to alien sensors. Each crew had been training for this mission for over a year. Remember, she told her captains during their final briefing, we don't reveal ourselves until the Admiral gives the signal. Let them think they've won. Let them spread out and get comfortable. Then we hit them all at once. The Ghost ships were armed with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. Plasma cannons that could punch through any alien armor, guided missiles that could track targets across entire star systems, and boarding pods that could cut through enemy hulls like paper. But their greatest weapon was surprise. The aliens expected humanity to fight like the other young species they had conquered, with brave but hopeless charges against superior numbers. They had no idea that humans had spent years studying alien tactics and preparing counters for every possible attack. As the 7-day deadline approached, Council Prime Vextar received regular updates from his intelligence officers. Every report confirmed what he already believed. Humanity was too weak and too scared to fight back. Their fleet is hiding behind their home planet, reported one of his advisors. They have maybe 50 combat-capable ships, all old and poorly armed. Excellent, Vexitar said, his crystal body glowing with satisfaction. We will crush them quickly and then decide what to do with their species. What his advisors couldn't see were the real human warships, hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons throughout the solar system. They couldn't detect the quantum disruption devices that had been placed near all the major alien bases. They had no idea that their communications were being monitored, and their battle plans were already known to human commanders. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years by being stronger and more advanced than everyone else. They had never faced an enemy that was smarter. Dr. Lim Hei-wan sat in the main command center on Luna, watching the alien fleets approach. Her job was to coordinate the quantum disruption attack, making sure that every alien ship was disabled at exactly the right moment. All devices are online and ready, she reported to Admiral Han Daeho. We can shut down their entire fleet with a single command. Not yet, the Admiral replied. Let them get close. Let them think they've already won. The countdown had begun. In less than 48 hours, the Council fleets would arrive in human space, expecting to find a broken and defeated enemy. Instead, they would discover that humans had learned the most important lesson in the history of warfare. The best defense is a perfect trap. The first Council fleet arrived at the edge of human space exactly when Admiral Han Daeho expected them. 300 massive ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the abandoned mining colony of New Sol. Their hulls gleamed with alien metals and their weapons charged with enough power to level cities. Fleet Commander Zethkol of the Vorthak Empire stood on his flagship's bridge, studying the scanner readings. His 6 eyes focused on the empty space where human defenses should have been. I detect no resistance, reported his tactical officer. The system appears to be completely abandoned. Excellent, Zethkol replied, his voice carrying the satisfaction of easy victory. Begin the approach to the main colony. I want full documentation of their surrender for the Council records. What the alien scanners couldn't detect were Captain Song Yunji's fighter squadrons, hidden inside the debris field of an old asteroid mining operation. The fighters were powered down and drifting with the rocks invisible to every scanning technology the aliens possessed. Song Yunji watched through her cockpit window as the massive alien ships moved past her position. Each dreadnought was 10 times larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapon ports could hold her entire fighter, and their shields could probably stop a nuclear bomb. But shields were useless against enemies you couldn't see. Hold. Position, she whispered into her communicator. Wait for the signal. On the surface of New Sol, General Park Dong-hyun's soldiers waited in underground bunkers that the aliens had never detected. The bunkers were built deep beneath the colony's foundations, connected by tunnels that stretched for kilometers in every direction. Sir, the alien landing ships are approaching, reported Sergeant Kim Do-hyun. They're heading for the main settlement, just like we predicted. Perfect, Park Dong-hyun replied. Let them land. Let them think they're conquering an empty world. The Council had done this hundreds of times before. Their standard procedure was simple. Arrive with overwhelming force, destroy any resistance, and then claim the territory for the greater good of galactic peace. Young species always broke quickly when faced with the full might of the Council fleets. But as Zethkol's ships moved deeper into the human system, strange things began to happen. Communication signals started getting fuzzy. Navigation systems showed slight errors. Sensor readings became unclear. Commander, called his technical officer, we're experiencing minor system irregularities. Probably interference from their primitive technology, Zethkol dismissed. Continue the advance. He had no way of knowing that Colonel Bae Jun-seo's special operations teams had spent weeks planting micro-jammers throughout the system. The devices were too small to detect, but they were slowly degrading every alien system they encountered. On Earth's moon, Dr. Lim Hei-wan watched her screens as the alien fleets spread out across human space. The quantum disruption devices were working perfectly, creating tiny interference patterns that would soon build into something much larger. "Admiral," she reported to Han Dae-ho, "all three fleets are now within range of our disruption network." "Not yet," the Admiral replied calmly. "We need them to commit fully to the attack." The Second Council fleet arrived at the Kepler-7 system, where humanity's largest mining operation had been located. Admiral Korthax expected to find desperate humans hiding behind whatever defenses they could improvise. Instead, he found empty space and abandoned stations. "Where are they?" he demanded from his bridge crew. "Intelligence reported millions of human civilians in this system." "All settlements appear to be evacuated, Admiral," his sensor operator replied. "We're detecting some debris fields and inactive orbital platforms." What they couldn't detect was Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin's ghost fleet, positioned throughout the system like invisible sharks waiting to strike. Each ship was running on minimal power, their advanced stealth systems making them appear as nothing more than space dust. Shin Yu-jin had been studying alien battle tactics for 3 years. She knew exactly how the Council fleets would position themselves, where they would place their command ships, and when they would be most vulnerable. "All ships maintain stealth protocols," she ordered. "The moment we reveal ourselves, we need to be ready to destroy everything in sight." The Third Council fleet took position near Mars, expecting to find Earth's main defensive forces. Instead, they discovered that humanity's home system appeared almost completely defenseless. A few old ships drifted near Earth, and some civilian traffic moved between the inner planets. "This is almost too easy," commented Fleet Admiral Yorthon to his staff. "Perhaps the humans are even more primitive than we thought." His ships began moving toward Earth, expecting the human government to send surrender messages at any moment. The alien crews relaxed at their posts, confident that the war was already over. None of them noticed the small objects that had been drifting through their formation for the past hour. The objects looked like normal space debris, but they were actually advanced reconnaissance drones operated by Commander Cho Hyejin's intelligence teams. Every alien ship was now being monitored. Every weapon system was being analyzed. Every communication channel was being recorded. "We have complete intelligence on all three fleets," Cho Hyejin reported from her command center on Europa. "Ship positions, weapon loadouts, command structures, everything." Admiral Han Dae-ho nodded with satisfaction. The trap was almost complete. On New Sol, the first alien landing ships touched down in the main colony's central plaza. Thousands of alien soldiers poured out, expecting to find terrified human civilians waiting for them. The colony was completely silent. "Strange," muttered Landing Commander Vexoth as he led his troops through the empty streets. "Where are the humans?" They found their answer when General Park Dong-hyun's soldiers erupted from hidden positions all around them. The abandoned buildings were actually sophisticated fortresses, and the empty streets were carefully planned killing zones. Plasma fire erupted from windows and rooftops. Advanced human weapons tore through alien armor like paper. In seconds, the confident invasion force found itself surrounded and outgunned. "Impossible!" Vexoth screamed into his communicator. "Intelligence said this place was abandoned." High above the planet, Fleet Commander Zeth Cole watched in shock as his landing forces came under heavy attack. His scanners were finally detecting the true extent of human defenses: underground bunkers, hidden weapon emplacements, and defensive positions that covered the entire colony. "How did we miss all of this?" he demanded. "Sir, our sensors are malfunctioning," his technical officer reported. "All systems are showing massive interference patterns." That was when Dr. Lim Hae-wan activated the first phase of the quantum disruption network. Across all three alien fleets, warning lights began flashing. Computer systems crashed and restarted. Weapons powered down without warning. Communications became filled with static. "What's happening?" Admiral Korthax demanded as his flagship's lights flickered. "Unknown, sir," his crew replied. "All systems are experiencing critical failures." Captain Song Yoon-ji felt the change in the electromagnetic field around her fighter. That was the signal she had been waiting for. "All wings, this is Hawk Leader," she broadcast to her pilots. "Light them up." 2,000 human fighters suddenly appeared throughout the three alien fleets, emerging from asteroid fields, debris clouds, and stealth positions. Their quantum torpedoes launched in perfect coordination, seeking out the command ships and heavy cruisers. The aliens had never seen weapons that could phase through their shields. Explosions bloomed inside their most powerful warships as the torpedoes found their targets. "Impossible!" screamed Fleet Admiral Yorthan as his dreadnought's hull began to buckle. "Their missiles went through our shields." Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin's ghost fleet revealed itself at the same moment, appearing like phantoms around the confused alien formations. The sleek human warships opened fire with plasma cannons and guided missiles, tearing into the disabled alien vessels. "This is Admiral Shin Yu-jin to all Council forces," she broadcast on all channels. "You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The response was immediate panic. The three mighty Council fleets, which had expected easy victory against primitive humans, found themselves fighting for survival against an enemy that seemed to appear from nowhere. Admiral Kwon Seok-jin coordinated the battle from his command center beneath Luna's surface. Every part of the plan was working perfectly. The aliens were confused, their ships were disabled, and human forces controlled every battlefield. "Phase 2 is complete," he reported to Admiral Han Dae-ho. "All three fleets are neutralized. Awaiting orders for Phase 3. Han Dae-ho looked at the tactical display showing alien ships burning throughout human space. The Council had expected to teach humanity a lesson about respecting their betters. Instead, they were about to learn that humans had their own ideas about how the galaxy should work. Admiral Han Dae-ho stood before the holographic display in his command center, watching as the Council's mighty fleets burned in the darkness of space. 3,000 years of galactic supremacy was crumbling in a matter of hours. "All quantum disruption fields are at maximum power," reported Dr. Lim Hae-won. "Enemy fleets are completely helpless." "Excellent. Begin Phase 3, Han Dae-ho ordered. "Signal Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin. It's time to take the fight to them." Throughout human space, the Ghost Fleet moved like silent predators among the disabled alien ships. The Council vessels drifted helplessly, their crews trapped inside ships that had become their own prisons. Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin watched from her flagship's bridge as Colonel Bae Jun-seo's boarding teams approached the alien command ships. The boarding pods were designed to cut through any material, and the soldiers inside wore advanced combat suits that made them nearly unstoppable. "Remember," she told Colonel Bae over the communicator, "we need the command crews alive. Intelligence wants to know everything about their military capabilities." "Understood, Admiral," Bae replied as his pod pierced the hull of a Vorthak dreadnought. Moving in now. The alien crew had never faced human soldiers in combat before. They expected primitives with basic weapons and simple tactics. Instead, they found themselves facing warriors who moved like ghosts and fought with weapons that seemed to come from their worst nightmares. Bae's soldiers used sonic disruptors to stun entire corridors of aliens, then advanced with plasma rifles that could cut through any armor. Their combat suits protected them from alien weapons while providing enhanced strength and speed. "Deck 7 secured," reported Sergeant Kim Do-hyun. Moving to the bridge. Within minutes, the alien command ship was under human control. Fleet Commander Zethkal found himself staring at human soldiers who had appeared as if from nowhere and conquered his ship with embarrassing ease. "This is impossible," he whispered in his own language. "You are a young species. You should not have this technology." Colonel Bae understood the alien words thanks to his suit's translation system. "We've been preparing for this day for a very long time," he replied calmly. "Your mistake was thinking we were as weak as we looked." Similar scenes played out across all three alien fleets. One by one, the mighty Council warships fell under human control. Their crews were taken prisoner, their weapons were seized, and their communication systems were turned against them. Captain Kim Jae-wook commanded the operation to capture the alien fleet records. Every ship in the Council forces contained detailed information about alien military bases, trade routes, and defensive positions throughout the galaxy. "This is incredible," he told Admiral Han Dae-ho over the secure channel. "They have maps of every major installation in Council space. We now know more about their territory than most of their own commanders." "Good," Han Dae-ho replied. "We'll need that information for what comes next." On New Sol, General Park Dong-hyun's ground forces had completely routed the alien invasion. The enemy soldiers who had expected to conquer a defenseless colony instead found themselves surrounded by human warriors who knew every meter of the terrain. "Sir, the last alien stronghold has surrendered," reported Major Lee Sung-min. "We've captured over 10,000 prisoners, including 3 division commanders." "Excellent work," Park Dong-hyun said. "Make sure they're treated well. We want them to spread the word about how humans conduct warfare." The captured aliens were indeed spreading the word, but not in the way the Council had hoped. Emergency messages flooded the communication networks throughout Council space, carrying reports that seemed impossible to believe. "The human fleet appeared from nowhere," reported one surviving ship captain. "Their weapons went right through our shields. Our sensors couldn't detect them until they started shooting. The humans have technology we've never seen before." Another captain transmitted. "They disabled our entire fleet without losing a single ship." But the most shocking reports came from the ground commanders on New Seoul. "The colony wasn't abandoned," General Vexoth reported from his prison cell. "It was a fortress. They knew exactly when and where we would attack. It was a trap from the beginning." Council Prime Vextar received these reports in his Crystal Palace, but he couldn't believe what he was hearing. His advisors assured him that there had to be some mistake, some misunderstanding. "A young species cannot defeat 3 of our finest fleets," he insisted. "There must be another explanation." But the explanation became clear when Admiral Han Dae-ho opened a communication channel to the Council homeworld. "Council Prime Vextar," Han Dae-ho said, his image appearing on screens throughout the alien capital. "I am Admiral Han Dae-ho of the Earth Defense Force. Your fleets have been defeated and your soldiers have been captured. We are prepared to discuss terms." The crystal alien's body turned black with rage. "You dare speak to the Council as an equal? You are a primitive species that learned to fly only yesterday." "Perhaps," Han Dae-ho replied calmly. "But we are the primitive species that just destroyed 3 of your finest fleets without losing a single ship. I think that gives us the right to have this conversation." Across Council space, the impossible reports continued to arrive. Not only had the human fleets won, but they were now advancing into alien territory. Captain Song Yoon-ji led her fighter squadrons through the jump gates that connected star systems. Her mission was to disable the Council's early warning networks and communication relays. "Remember, precision strikes only," she told her pilots. "We want to cut their communications, not start a massacre." The alien outposts had never been attacked before. For 3,000 years they had existed in perfect safety, monitoring the galaxy and reporting to their superiors. Their crews had grown comfortable and careless. Song Yoon-ji's fighters appeared without warning, moving faster than the alien sensors could track. Quantum torpedoes destroyed communication arrays and sensor platforms with surgical precision. Within hours, the Council's intelligence network was completely blind. "This is impossible," muttered Station Commander Kelthvar as his facility went dark around him. "How did they find us? How did they know where to strike?" The answer was Commander Cho Hye-jin's intelligence network. For months, her teams had been mapping every Council installation, studying their weaknesses and preparing detailed attack plans. "All primary communication hubs have been neutralized," she reported to Admiral Han Dae-ho. "The Council can no longer coordinate their forces." While the alien leadership tried to understand what was happening, Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin was leading the Ghost Fleet deeper into Council space. Their target was the main military shipyard in the Vorthok home system. The shipyard was a massive structure that could build 100 warships at once. It was protected by defensive platforms and patrol fleets that had never seen real combat. The aliens assumed that no enemy would ever dare to attack such a heavily defended target. They were wrong. "All ships, begin the attack," Shin Yu-jin ordered. The Ghost Fleet materialized around the shipyard like a deadly swarm. The alien defenders had no time to react before quantum torpedoes began tearing through their defensive positions. "Emergency! Emergency!" screamed the shipyard commander into his communicator. "We are under attack by unknown forces. Request immediate assistance." But there was no one left to send assistance. The Council's fleets were scattered, their communications were down, and their leadership was in complete panic. Dr. Yoon Min-ho monitored the quantum disruption network from his laboratory on Mars. The system was working even better than he had hoped. Every alien military facility within range was completely powerless. "Admiral, we now have control over 17 major Council installations," he reported. "Their entire military infrastructure in this sector is under our command." Admiral Kwon Seok-jin coordinated the expanding human offensive from his command center. Ships that had been hidden for years were now revealing themselves throughout the galaxy. The Council was discovering that human forces had been in their territory for much longer than anyone had imagined. "Phase 4 is complete," he reported to Han Dae-ho. "We now control all major strategic positions in the target area. Council forces are in full retreat." Han Dae-ho nodded with satisfaction. The plan was working perfectly. The aliens who had demanded humanity's surrender were now begging for mercy. "Open a channel to all Council worlds," he ordered. "It's time to discuss the new terms." Across the galaxy, the message was clear. The species that had ruled for 3,000 years had been defeated in 3 days by the primitive humans they had dismissed as harmless. The galactic balance of power had just shifted forever, and the Council was about to learn what it meant to negotiate from a position of weakness. President Na Hyun-woo walked into the same crystal chamber where the Council had once laughed at humanity's refusal to surrender. Now the alien delegates sat in stunned silence, their confident voices replaced by whispered conversations and worried glances. The great crystal halls that had witnessed 3,000 years of alien supremacy now echoed with a very different kind of meeting. Where Council Prime Vextar had once stood in glorious light, he now sat dimmed and defeated, his crystalline body barely glowing. "Honored delegates," President Na began, his voice calm and respectful. "We are here to discuss the future of our galaxy." Admiral Han Dae-ho stood beside the president, no longer the quiet observer he had been during the first meeting. Captain Kim Jae-wook and Dr. Park So-young flanked them, their faces professional but confident. The alien delegates who had once treated humans like children now listened carefully to every word. "The Galactic Council is dissolved," President Na continued. "In its place, we propose the Interstellar Federation, where every species has an equal voice, regardless of age or military power." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some aliens seemed shocked, others appeared relieved, and a few looked angry. Council Prime Vextar's crystal form flickered with dim red light. "You cannot simply destroy 3,000 years of galactic order," he said, his voice much quieter than before. "We're not destroying anything," Dr. Park So-young replied. "We're building something better. The old order was based on fear and force. The new order will be based on cooperation and mutual respect." Admiral Han Dae-ho activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Human fleets controlled all major trade routes and military installations in Council space. The alien forces that remained were either captured or hiding. "Your military is defeated," he said matter-of-factly. "Your communications are cut. Your supply lines are broken. You have 2 choices: join the new Federation as equals, or face the consequences of continued resistance." Fleet Admiral Korthax of the Zelkari Federation raised one of his 4 arms. "What guarantees do we have that humans will not treat us as we treated you?" President Na smiled. "The same guarantee we had that you would treat us fairly. None. The difference is that our system doesn't depend on the good intentions of a ruling class. Every species will have representatives in the Federation Assembly. Every world will have the right to govern itself. Every citizen will be protected by the same laws." Commander Cho Hye-jin stood at a control station, monitoring alien communication networks throughout the galaxy. The reaction to humanity's victory was spreading faster than anyone had expected. "Sir," she reported quietly to Admiral Han Dae-ho, "we're receiving surrender messages from over 40 different species. Most of them weren't even part of the original Council forces." This was exactly what Han Dae-ho had hoped for. The Council's defeat wasn't just a military victory. It was proof that the old order could be challenged and defeated. Vice Admiral Shin Yu-jin commanded the occupation of the former council capital. Her Ghost Fleet had taken control of the system without firing a shot. The alien defenders had surrendered the moment they saw human ships appearing around their homeworld. All major installations are secure, she reported. The local government is requesting terms for peaceful transition to Federation authority. Granted, Han Dae-ho replied. Begin immediate humanitarian aid to any worlds that need it. We want them to understand that we're liberators, not conquerors. The difference was already becoming clear throughout former council space. Where the aliens had ruled through fear and force, humans offered food, medical aid, and protection to species that had been oppressed for centuries. Captain Song Yoonji led relief missions to worlds that had been stripped of resources by council mining operations. Her fighters now carried medical supplies and food instead of weapons. The difference is incredible, she reported from a small planet in the Outer Rim. These people have been living in poverty while the council extracted their mineral wealth. Now they're finally free to keep what they produce. General Park Dong-hyun oversaw the transition of military forces from council control to Federation authority. Many alien soldiers were eager to join the new system, especially those from species that had been conscripted rather than recruited. The Korthek soldiers are particularly enthusiastic, he reported. Apparently their homeworlds were conquered by the Council 500 years ago. They've been waiting for someone to free them ever since. Dr. Yoon Min-ho worked with alien scientists to share technology and research. The quantum disruption system that had defeated the Council fleets was now being adapted for peaceful purposes. Power generation, medical equipment, and communication systems. It's amazing what we can accomplish when we work together, he told his new alien colleagues. The Council kept everyone separated and competitive. The Federation will encourage cooperation and shared knowledge. Colonel Bae Jun-seo supervised the release of political prisoners from Council detention centers. Thousands of beings who had opposed the old regime were finally free to return to their families. Many of these prisoners have been held for decades, he reported. Some were arrested simply for suggesting that their species should have more autonomy. Back in the Crystal Chamber, the negotiations continued. President Na presented the Federation Charter, a document that guaranteed rights and protections for every species in the galaxy. Every world will have the right to choose its own government, he explained. Every species will have representatives in the Federation Assembly. Every citizen will be protected by the same laws, regardless of their origin. The alien delegates studied the document carefully. After 3,000 years of hierarchical rule, the concept of true equality was difficult for many of them to understand. What prevents humanity from simply taking control once the Federation is established? Asked Ambassador Zektol of the Rigel Union. Admiral Han Dae-ho answered that question. The same thing that prevented the Council from taking control of Earth when we first met them. We chose to resist. If we ever abuse our power, you can choose to resist as well. The difference is that now you'll have the means to do it. Dr. Lim Hae-won monitored the implementation of new communication networks throughout the galaxy. The quantum technology that had once been used as a weapon was now connecting worlds that had been isolated for centuries. Communication lag between star systems has been reduced to minutes instead of days, she reported. Species that haven't spoken to each other in generations are now able to work together in real time. As the negotiations concluded, Council Prime Vextar approached President. Privately, I must ask, the crystal alien said, his voice barely a whisper. How long have you been planning this? How long have humans been preparing for war against the Council? President Na considered the question carefully. We began preparing the day we realized that the Council viewed us as subjects rather than equals. The plan took 3 years to implement, but the decision to resist was made the moment we understood what you expected from us. And if we had treated you as equals from the beginning, then none of this would have been necessary, Neo replied. We didn't want to destroy the Council, Vextar. We wanted to join it. But you made it clear that membership was only available to those who submitted to your authority. 6 months later, the First Federation Assembly convened in the same crystal chamber where the Council had once ruled. Representatives from over 200 species took their seats as equals, regardless of their technology level or military strength. President Na gave the opening address, but he was no longer speaking as the leader of humanity. He had been elected as the first Federation president by representatives from across the galaxy. Today marks the beginning of a new age, he said to the assembled delegates. An age where every voice matters, where every species has the right to determine its own destiny, and where cooperation replaces conquest as the foundation of galactic civilization. Admiral Han De-ho watched from the gallery, now serving as Federation Defense Coordinator. The military that had defeated the Council was being transformed into a peacekeeping force dedicated to protecting the rights of all Federation members. In the weeks that followed, former Council worlds experienced freedoms they hadn't known for millennia. Trade flowed freely between star systems. Scientific knowledge was shared openly. Cultural exchanges flourished as species that had been kept separate for centuries rediscovered each other. The peace that humanity had shattered hadn't been peace at all. It had been the enforced silence of oppression. What grew in its place was something the galaxy had never known. Genuine harmony built on mutual respect rather than fear. Dr. Park So-young, now Federation Secretary of Interspecies Relations, often thought about that first meeting in the Crystal Chamber. The Council had believed humans were bluffing when they refused to surrender their colonies. They had been wrong about that, just as they had been wrong about everything else. Humans weren't bluffing. They were building a better future for everyone in the galaxy. The Council's greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating human technology or military capability. Their greatest mistake had been failing to understand that some things are worth fighting for, and that freedom is always worth the price of peace.